Mm-hmm.
That's the way to play fantasy football, in my opinion.
Mm. Hey, there you go. Not just opinion. That's basically proven fact right now. That's right. You're talking to a champ. You better recognize back there. This man has a TJH jersey. Better know who you're talking to.
But
But no,
those
man.
stats that you
So,
saw there, they're all PPR,
mm-hmm.
single quarterback stats. That's
Yep.
whatever the main games are. But those aren't as fun. It's not as realistic. Quarterbacks are very important in the NFL. They should
Mm-hmm.
be very important in your fantasy football league.
Mm. Shots fired. There you go. All right. Well, with that said, so I wanted to switch gears for a second. So, we can talk football all day. We can talk fantasy all day. We can talk golf. We can talk hospitality, a lot of stuff. But there's a very important reason why we're gathered here today. Man, it sounded like a wedding just now, but no. Look, we're here for a very important reason. So, another reason why Brian reached out to me, and I'm thankful that he did. He brought up the fact that he's working on a very important project, a children's based nonprofit. So, Ryan, I'm going to allow you to kind of lay the foundation of that. I have some clips. I got some stuff that you sent me that we're going to talk about pertaining to the issue that we notice in the world of children's youth sports. But give us a small taste as to the nonprofit that you brought up with me and what you're trying to do with it.
Well, I think the first most important thing that we need to be doing out there as coaches and leaders, men especially, is passing on Jesus Christ to the kids. It's extremely important. They need to have a relationship with Christ. Life is hard. Sports are hard. It can get overwhelming, and all you need to do is just relax and pray. So that's the first most important thing that we want to do with our charity, Christian Coaching Athletics. Started a couple months ago. We're trying to raise money. We're trying to get out there and do some camps and clinics. We've got some donations rolling in. Facilities cost some money. Everybody that's coaching, they're either veterans or current coaches as well. And we're all just doing this out of the love of coaching and passing on Jesus Christ. The kids are suffering in the sports market because it's become such a huge profit
Mm-hmm.
driven deal. And there's a lot of kids that don't have the ability to do that. I was one growing up, but now it's just out of hand. It costs a couple $1,000s for some of these
Mm-hmm.
uh, camps or AAU leagues and things like that. So we're trying to deliver the same kind of training to these kids free of charge. People can make donations. If you've got one kid that wants to come out, I'll be there. You don't have to donate anything. I'll donate 1 hour of my time. Of course, we're going to set up events where people can come and things like that, and there'll be a lot more. But we're really just trying to do this out of the love uh, of coaching and delivering Christ to these kids.
Oh, amen, amen, absolutely. No, and I took this seriously. I mentioned early in the pod that I do not believe in coincidences. Right, I do believe this was sovereignly appointed. So I definitely. And the funny thing is, Ryan, and I told you this in messaging that I was actually looking for something like this because of a project that I was working on. A far less important, a far more trivial, borderline stupid idea, right? But then
But these
you
aren't, man. These aren't stupid ideas, man.
Oh yeah, no, I got you. Oh no, we'll get there. Trust me, we'll
Sorry.
get there. Oh no, we'll get there. But no, man. So, but then Ryan comes along, right? I believe he's led by God, and we are having a conversation, and he just brings up the nonprofit, and then he just gives me this information that I was ignorant to, that I'm going to show it a little bit. And what's funny is, especially after the results of I don't know if you watched the World Cup or not, but the results of the U.S. men's national team and them falling short, unfortunately, I want to say in a round of 16 against Belgium. Um, Again, another knockout situation and it was funny because you had the whole Trump controversy and him making a phone call to get a guy back on the field after the red card, and for you to still basically get blown out in the very next game. And immediately after that, uh, all across social media, people lost their minds talking about this very issue, children's sports, and well, there's a reason why U.S. can't go any farther because we're not developing kids at an early age, and that's basically what you're saying, which is we're not, for lesser reasons, but we're not developing children at a young age. We're not leading them properly. Like these mechanisms that other countries are gifting these kids early on in their threes and fours and fives, like we're making it so difficult and arduous for a lot of just regular families to take part that for something like a World Cup, for national, whatever the case may be, our children slash our young adults are unprepared, or at least not as equipped as they could be based off this infrastructure. So we'll just get right into it. So I'm going to use the graphics that you sent me. So starting off with this one, right? This is from Girl Father.
Yeah.
Said U.S. soccer won't be good until you stop charging little kids thousands to play travel ball. You're not getting the best athletes into soccer that way. It's the same crowd as lacrosse and hockey at this point. So that was the first one. Second one was this one. As a soccer dad with a son in the youth program of an MLS team, I see it firsthand. U.S. soccer is run like a pure revenue business with talent development as an afterthought. Without fixing the infrastructure and incentives, we'll never build a system that can compete for a World Cup. Right, so that's just the first two right there off top. Then the third one right here. Why can't the USA have a dominant soccer team? Look how much it costs to play under nine soccer for my local team. My parents didn't pay even 10% of this in total for 8 years of me playing as a kid in Ireland. So I'm going to blow this up so that I can see, but I'm going to read it. So if you look at that, club dues start at $400, right, in installment plan one. Top out at $475. Underneath that, in installment plan two, at acceptance $400, and then by October it's $712, right? So that is crippling, right? Like that people got to understand this. Like in today's time when no one has money, that is crippling. Ryan, I don't know if you have something you want to add on to that.
Well, I mean, absolutely. And to circle back to what you said, man, I prayed a lot that somebody could help me do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never had a charity before. And look, all we're really doing is giving our time.
Mm,
And same thing that you just pointed out there. Yeah, again, there's facilities that you have to rent. There's equipment that comes along with it, but it's not a whole lot of money, man.
mm,
And yeah, I mean, I guess if you need to pay some coaches to be there, thankfully, my coaches and I are working for free because we love this, and that's what
mm,
it's got to be about, man. That it's got to the youth sports program has to be about love of the
mm,
game and improving the kids' abilities, not about
mm.
profit, not about profit. That's what it has to be. It's not going to work. So that's what we're trying to do here. Just removing all that negativity and just terrible feelings like because I can't do it, I can't afford it. I have to ask my
Mm.
mom. She's going to say no. And nah, man, come on, let's go. You want to run
Yeah,
some routes? We can run some routes. You want to shoot some hoops? I'll rebound for you. Whatever. It's that
mm.
easy. And hopefully this thing can get some support behind it. That's why you came along. And look, I was reaching out to Tim Tebow and all kinds of people, man, and somebody intercepted it and said she was one of his representatives, and I think I was going to having to pay money to talk to Tebow. So it was like, what's going on here? And thankfully, somebody like you with the true heart and the love that I'm talking about came along. So, amen.
No, I mean, absolutely, brother. Yeah, you got to watch out. Like, real quick, quick scam alert. So, full disclosure. Listen, Trayvon Smith, right? I don't know if you watch this or not. Hey, what's up? If you do, if you don't, and somebody close to Trayvon watches this, please send this to him. So apparently, I was almost, got by the same thing. I thought I was talking to Trayvon Smith, and it was somebody who claimed to be his agent or his representation, and they said, "Yeah, man, no, we can do something. We can talk." But do you have what they say, like an exclusive fan card or something like that? Something. I said, what is that? What is a fan card? Well, no, basically it's it's how you get access and communication, all this stuff, and I'll let you know about it. So I Google searched it, and basically it's one of these newer scams where you have people who are impersonating either famous people or representatives of notable people who are basically, as you say, intercepting communication as a means of saying, hey, pay for this phony baloney, access card, if you will, or entryway, and then you'll be able to talk to them and do this and do that, all the while they're pocketing the money. So even in the sports industry, you just watch out for the scam. So Trayvon Smith, if you're listening, there's somebody impersonating you or impersonating your representation. So just be on the lookout for that. So letting you know. So there you go. And there's a video here, also off of TikTok, of the graphics that you sent me. And here, let's listen to it
This
quick.
$50 billion youth sports industry that takes advantage of parents wanting what's best for their kid and prioritizes meaningless trophies over development is not working. And it's not just a soccer issue. If you have an 8-year-old who's good at soccer, basketball, or baseball, your options are either to put them in a cheap town league where they get zero coaching and real competition, or pay thousands of dollars a year to a travel club. This means that only athletes from rich families have a chance to get the development they need to become a professional. But in every sport, most athletes traditionally came from poor families where sports was the only way out. This is why America has never had a good soccer team, because 80% of the market cannot afford to participate and get the training, development, and competition they need to become great. And it is also why we are seeing fewer and fewer American basketball and baseball players in the pros, because expensive AAU basketball and travel baseball teams are doing the same thing as club soccer teams. Parents are always going to do what's best for their kids, but capitalism isn't going away either. So we are only going to have fewer great American athletes until we go back to when sports was a public good and not one ginormous money grab.
Yeah.
I mean, that nails it, right? I mean, and that's what it is. And look, I mean, look, God bless the youth industry out there that's they're making a dime, and that's okay. I'm not trying to bang on anybody. I get it. This is a capitalist country. But it's gotten out of hand, guys. It's gotten out of hand. We're not doing what's
Mm.
best for the kids. And all these come out. I think Derek Fisher's got something that he's been working on. Same kind of idea. And there's a few commercials out there. The NFL does. They give their players camp money,
Mm.
and these guys are putting on camps. They're still charging the kids $250 for the camp or whatever when it's supposed to
Mm.
be free. So look, we just need to start doing what's right for the kids because they're the ones that are going to be leading us one day. And we need to create leaders and men that know Jesus, most importantly. But we don't need to be doing all this stuff. We don't need to be making millions of dollars, right? We just don't.
Yeah.
Do it out of love. The problem is that there's not enough love out there
Mm.
coaching or leading these camps. It's greed.
Sure. No, and look, let me try to get out in front of this. So there are going to be some who sadly will listen to this section of the podcast and will think that, things cost and you can't do this for. Look, we understand, we get it. Like Ryan and myself, we're not saying that everything should be handed out free. We understand things cost. We understand that employees of these sports organizations they need a living wage too. We understand that facilities cost. We understand lights and all this stuff. We get it, but and also throw in NIL, right? Like the entire thing, whether you're talking NCAA, NIL, youth sports, AAU, all these circuits. What we're saying is holistically, in a lot of ways, it's become much more predatory than mutually beneficial, right? It's somebody always looking to get over or to get the most out of the deal, and really, it's killing sport as we know it, right? Like it's. But as Ryan said, the most important thing is love of Christ, being showed, through these avenues, through these vehicles, right? But then secondarily, the topic of sport, the fact that now the attention is shifted from building skills, building foundations, reaction time, and all this stuff, and bodily development, health training, all these things that are good and healthy. Now it's just money, money, money. It's trying to get kids just in position enough to angle their way towards a 6-figure deal out of high school or in college and something like that, or put money in the pockets of those who are facilitating. And it's really not about sport as an art form. It's not about developing children, developing men, developing young ladies, developing coaches, developing leaders of the future. It's somebody just wanting some kind of monetary gain. Not everybody, but that's the culture. And it's sad because, again, for me as a fan of sport, as somebody who I appreciated PE. I grew up as as an athlete. I've done gymnastics. I've done track. I tried football till I got hit once and I stopped. But still, like as somebody who admires sport for an art form, as a means of communication and relationship, like the sport that we have known growing up, that is a thing of the past. That is done. And I don't know if you can put that, so to speak, genie back in the bottle. But I do think that with enough people who care enough about what we're talking about, you can make a dent or make an impact in your own way, in your community, in your household, in your neighborhood, to where some kids have a chance that otherwise would not. Right. So that's kind of what we're saying. So, and to kind of angle towards the wrap up here. So what are we doing to do about this situation? How are we going to help here? So the funny thing is, there was a bet that I had already made with Brandon Ray, who, excuse me, who along with me is of the Fan Sided Network with the Buffalo Down section. And here's the bet that we made about the Buffalo Bills and Houston Texans for week one and how it relates to Ryan and myself in this endeavor here.
Over time. And who knows, maybe since I got the Bills winning, obviously, and you got the Texans winning, we might have to do, loser goes through a table type of bet. We might just have to do that. So,
I'm down, man. I'll do it. Listen, I was the kid. Look, fun fact, right? So I actually used to backyard wrestle, right? Don't ask me why. That's just what we did. I was that kid when they had that black placard that says "Do not try at home." They were talking to me. Okay, so I have no aversions to jumping through a table if you want to do that. So I'm more than willing. If the Buffalo, look, I'll put it down right now. Money on the table. If the Buffalo Bills, beat the Houston Texans in week one, I will find a white table. I will record myself going through said table, and I will send it to you. All right. So, like I said then, I will say it again. My money's on the table. It never left. If the Houston Texans were not successful in week one, even though I think they will, but for the sake of this conversation, if the Texans drop game one against the Buffalo Bills, I have agreed to put myself through a table, right? So how do the two connect? So how I was thinking of it is this. I wanted to collaborate with Ryan and do a fundraiser of sorts where maybe something like based off of the amount of donations we get, maybe that might alter the stakes a bit of how it would look. Maybe, and I'm going to go into my wrestling bag for a second. So I'm going to nerd out for a second. So give me a second. So basically, let's say, for example, if we get $100 a donation, right? Maybe you get a, seated leg drop kind of thing, right? Right? To use a wrestling term. Let's say $200. Let's say you might get a $450. Yeah, I don't know. If we get $300, you might get a shooting star, right? Shooting star press. Oh yeah. Four, I might throw a doll on there, and I might, give him a Randy Savage off a ladder type stuff. Top. Savage way up top. So, like the things I've thought about, Ryan, are unhealthy. It's not good, but it's in good fun. It's in good fun. But now I wanted to attach it to something meaningful, and I couldn't have asked for a better avenue than this right here. So this is something that I would love to do. Look, if it goes well enough, heck, even if the Texans might win, I still might do it anyway, just because of the fundraising element, and we really want to bless the kids. So either or, I might end up doing it anyway. But that's kind of what it is. So as an attachment to the bet that I made with Brandon Ray, the Buffalo Down, I want this to be a fundraiser where any proceeds will go towards Christian Coaching Athletics. That will go towards Ryan's nonprofit. And there are financial mechanisms in place. There's fidelity. There are ethics here. This is not just some phony baloney thing. It's not a scam. Like, this is real. And every proceed will go towards this endeavor to make sure that these kids have a fair shot in our community. So there you go.
Amen. Yep. Hey, look, I'll throw my elbow in the ring. Get me a table. I don't know what it's worth, but maybe two of us can jump through some tables together.
Oh my goodness. So yeah,
I'm 50. I'm 50 though, but I still got it. I still got it.
So you can be the person, to hold the bottom of the ladder, right? So in WWE and in wrestling, like, that's kind of the thing. They'll hold it to stabilize it, right? It's a good visual. So we can set that up. But no, absolutely. So listen, I'm excited for this. I really am. I'm excited for the NFL season to get going, but I'm just as much, really more so excited at the opportunity that God has presented for you and I and for these youth. So yeah, and look, you don't have to wait to donate, right? Like, you don't have to wait until week one to do that.